You're
I
not.
got you guys.
Yep.
Yep.
We got you now.
Yeah, thanks. All right.
There it is.
Yeah.
So, recap quickly here. I would say it's good news. We've completed our route design. We verified the pathways, and they're viable. And in the business plan, we had nearly 400 miles identified. With the current route verification, we're at 358. And that 358 miles also includes this new segment here running from Springville to Gowanda. And that gives us some additional coverage area, but equally important, it creates 2 additional rings for redundancy. So that should help with our overall budget because we're under the targeted miles.
I think one of the things you noted before was that during our business development and signing up subscribers, we could modify this.
Right. So it's not that we can't modify the routes, but as we go forward with the sales and marketing plan, if new subscribers, certainly major subscribers, we can modify the backbone if needed. So, and depending on how final construction prices come in and we have additional headroom, we can look at expanding coverage. So let me go back to any questions on the map. The stars just indicate county facilities and municipal facilities that we're reaching. I think we have nearly 150 locations where the backbone passes the property. And that includes libraries, public safety access points, county facilities that are currently on your network, and some other key constituents.
We're not missing any libraries there, are we, that you can tell from the scale?
I could need to look at it a little closer.
Okay.
I am curious, you mentioned Gowanda. You're not connecting to the library there, are you?
If there is a public Erie County Library there,
Well, there
would.
could be some confusion. There used to be an Erie County Library there. The Gowanda Library is now, because it was actually our only location that was outside of Erie County.
Okay. Well, we'll
Long story.
We'll double check that because I think we want to be over there anyways because it brings us into the
Yeah, we want to connect to Gowanda.
Native American.
Yeah.
American Woods.
Yeah, but that the Gowanda Library is no longer ours. It's with the other library system.
All right, so go back. And Matt, while you readjust, just because we were having some technical difficulty with John coming in, we did identify that we had a quorum. The minutes were, a motion was made by Mike Breeden and seconded by Dan Castle for the minutes, and they were held very unanimous. Just to bring us up back.
All right. So I should also say that, we supplied Thomas with a spreadsheet of all the current subscribers that we intend to again have the backbone pass by. I think we do need to distribute that spreadsheet. Mike, you need to look at it for your facilities, sewer department, libraries, and also public safety, and just vet that everybody who's expecting a connection has one.
Yeah.
That, you and Ben have seen it, but we'll
Okay, yeah.
I'm just curious, before I came, were there any discussions around this and how it affects E-rates?
Yes. We need to, ERIENet needs to present the library with an ERIENet proposal, with an E-rate eligible.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah, because there's a lot of requirements that go along with with E-rate, and we're at a 90% reimbursement.
which is terrific.
Yeah, it's wonderful for us. Yeah. Yeah.
Likewise, with the K-12 market, we need to be E-rate eligible there as well. So
Okay, I just wanted to.
we're aware of
Sure.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
Toby's, another major component of the whole construction process is working with utilities, what we call make-ready, making sure that we can get into the conduit systems and onto the poles. We were able to confirm with National Grid that a CPCN, which is a Certificate of Public Convenience, is not required for the LDC. And so Grid is revising their pole attachment agreement to reflect that, and we should have that back later this week for the county to review and sign off on. Leidos is the make-ready engineer for Grid, and we're over the first 1,000 poles for them to engineer and tell us what the make-ready requirements are. We're waiting on, and I believe Mr. Murray is nearly finished with his review, and we need to issue that agreement and a purchase order to put that in motion. Similarly, with NYSEG, they too have, we've queued up 1,000 poles there. And again, we're looking to release 1,000 poles a month for both utilities to get through this process. And that's what these engineering firms have agreed to for schedule, is to turn these around on a monthly basis. So once we get these agreements in place, we'll be going through thousands of these poles. We have to submit payments on each of these 1,000.
But these engineering firms, just to be clear for everyone, these engineering firms have been retained by Grid and NYSEG, right? They're not contractors we've hired. We didn't do any procurement. We go to them.
I know we had the option of working with there was 3 or 4. And so we.
Right, they have a short list of firms.
We did, we gave them a scope document, and they gave us back pricing.
Right.
Within that pool of certified contractors, we picked.
Right.
We picked the best.
There's a memo in your packet that speaks to how we retained Leidos.
Yeah.
I guess the first or second memo, just for more clarity.
Yep.
And likewise with NYSEG, they designated Labella as their managing firm, and Labella will then be managing TRC for that. And that, again, that's just NYSEG pretty much dictating who we need to work with.
Okay.
So, again, we're thinking that we'll have the make-ready engineering complete, at least for the initial poles, and then we can start moving into the actual work that has to happen on these poles. And that will require another RFP in order to select that contractor. So that'll be coming up next month. Some good news. NYSDOT, Department of Transportation, has announced they're no longer requiring licensed surveyors to stamp surveys or permits to state property and state right of way. We're still reviewing what the new PERM 75 requirements are, but that's a significant cost savings for us on the construction, in the neighborhood of $700,000. So
It's nice.
It's a good ruling, and that benefits not only the LDC but all of the broadband providers in New York State. They've been lobbying hard for that relaxment for a number of years.
Matt,
we did issue.
can I
Sure,
jump
jump in, Andy.
Yeah, the new Perm 75, what they've actually done is they've actually instituted a trial period beginning February 1st. And they still are going to require a signed drawings, but we're not required to actually send a surveyor out to do that. We could just actually look at and provide just aerial type of drawings. It's still going to need to be signed, stamped, but we don't have to actually send people out in the field.
And just for the record, Andy is with ECC Technologies.
Oh, sorry about that.
And so we did issue an underground utility RFP for initially for 10 miles of underground construction. And that's approximately 50% of what's going to be required, and it's nearly all within the city of Buffalo, where most of the underground construction is going to take place. There's also, in addition to the underground construction, where we'll lease grid or NYSEG conduit. For any actual construction, we've issued this RFP, and they're due on the 30th of January. We think that first 10 miles will be somewhere around 1.5 million, but we won't know till we see the actual proposals come in. And it will also establish unit pricing for us as we need to issue additional mileage. We'll be able to establish unit pricing and we can negotiate change orders. We're looking to have the underground completed in mid-June of this year. Again, that's pending local and state permitting. That's our timetable, is to get
The local, I mean the city of Buffalo, or
Yeah, Matt, I was going to pop in and ask who the key entities are going to be for those permits.
Probably the time-consuming one will be mostly state, but I'm sure we'll be requesting county permits, and to the extent town and village have permit requirements.
well, most of this work is in the city, right? The underground work is dealing with the city of Buffalo.
Right. But there's also, aerial work that will
Okay.
affect the entire county. Where are you getting at, Dan?
Well, and the second to last bullet under D, underground utility, underground completed mid-June pending local and state permitting.
Right. As long, we expect to be able to get through the permitting and have a substantial amount of that underground completed
Okay.
in June.
Just in case we need to help.
The variable outside our control.
Okay. Well, but we can always try to reach out if we need to move things along at City Hall.
We'll let you know if we need that.
All there too. Okay. Yep.
And then we'll bid the remaining underground later in May.
Is any of this in Lackawanna or just City of Buffalo initially?
We don't have Mac on the line. I don't know. I would imagine we have some in Lackawanna.
Okay.
It's a major pathway to get down to Hamburg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Good enough.
Likewise, we haven't issued this RFP yet, but it's pending, is the aerial construction. And by aerial, that's really the fiber cable installation, both for poles, but also the underground contract is only for conduit. This aerial utility contractor, or there may be contractors, they'll actually pull the fiber through the underground conduit, and they'll also place the fiber on the poles. We want a single contractor doing that because they have to warrant end-to-end the fiber construction and the fiber testing and the fiber warranties. So that RFP will be ready to be advertised later this month. Or look to advertise late this month or early February. So again, feel good about the schedule. The route design is validated. We're moving forward with the underground construction. We'll have our utility contractors in place, probably, April timeframe for May and June work. Last thing is we need to actually have some fiber optic cable. We need to get that order out. That's going to be a material only RFP. It will be substantially over 20,000. So this is going to be in the, 400 miles of fiber is going to result in millions of dollars of fiber optic cabling. So that's going out for RFP. Thomas, you're going to let us know how we advertise
For sure.
that RFP, because with the utility contractors, there's a fixed pool and we knew who to send the RFP to. There's dozens of fiber distributors, both locally, state, and nationally. So we are looking to widely advertise that RFP.
Okay. Is it normal, I'm just asking, is it normal to be installing all the conduit and underground infrastructure when we don't even have the cable yet? I mean, I suppose you have to have it all in before you get the cable, but.
So this is our strategy.
Yeah.
Is we have to do everything at once because, county exec polling cars is an aggressive goal for us to substantially complete this network by end of 2024. And so, anything we can get into motion, anything we can release to a contractor, the better.
No, I agree. Yep.
But obviously, we need material, right? And so, we had to wait until the ARP funds were encumbered, and I think we're at that point now where we can issue purchase orders for something sizable.
And typically, Dan, they do install the conduit first.
Oh, they do? Okay. Okay.
Especially if it's underground.
Yeah.
Aerial, they do.
And the make-ready work all happens before you attach the fiber.
Right. Yeah.
So we really aren't in a position to do any significant fiber installation until probably June, July, August.
Okay. All right. Good.
And then once that make-ready is done, things get built quickly. It's 75% make-ready in the schedule, 25% of the actual fiber being installed at the end. So we're looking for our first fiber to show up in June, maybe July, and we'll be ordering monthly increments as we manage the inventory.
Where do we store fiber?
Well, we prefer to store the fiber with the utility contractor who's going to install it. So we're waiting to see who prevails through the utility contractor RFP. Depending on how that, depending on how that is, and if we get pushback or whatever, we may have to reconsider storing the fiber like at a county facility. But Matt, construction manager, he, and I agree with him, we'd rather have the fiber closest to the utility contractor. Fewer people that touch the fiber, the better.
Let him in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, come on. So I just noticed you out there. I figured you must be coming here for us.
I apologize.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. Okay.
Is there, with respect to the fiber, has there been any conversation on the availability of state contract?
Yeah, we talked about that.
I mean, this is such a significant dollar amount. We want to convince ourselves that we're getting the best price.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
We want to widely advertise it. There's a state contract. We've been made aware of a new contract that's a national municipal cooperative called Omnia.
Okay.
They
Yep.
have, we've been told, through major distributors, have very competitive pricing. So we reserve the option to buy off those
Understood.
contracts.
Okay.
But since this is our first procurement, we want to make sure we have the correct
Okay.
market.
Yeah, because if we hadn't explored that, I would have asked for, some form of spec, and then we go to the county's purchasing director and kind of take a look and see what might be out there as an option.
And in that RFP that we'll issue is a formal specification for the fiber
Okay.
optic cable.
But I would notice, can the LDC use a county contract? Because LDC is separate.
We can use, the LDC can use both. We can latch on to the state and county.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the conversation that we had yesterday is not so much a matter of procurement, but really rooted in a matter of us getting the best price.
Mhm.
So, yes, we can latch on the state, yes, we can latch on the county, but like Matt mentioned, it will behoove us to do the widest search that we can do so that we can really look at getting the best price
Right.
possible.
I
okay.
mean, it'll be heavily weighted, the RFP, by price, but there'll be other selection criteria. Schedule will be very important, that we get something, you may have to pay a small premium to get it quicker. We're gonna reserve the right to award to MWBE, suppliers. So we'll have more to tell you probably at the next board meeting as to what the proposal.
But it looks like you're kind of buying in 100-mile increments, right? So not like we're getting all 400 miles up front. We're getting it as we're installing it, which is great. Okay, good.
That, and it would be very difficult to find any supplier right now that can fulfill a 400 or 500 mile order. Everybody's, we've been told some of this stuff is out a year. So
Is this the type of fiber that Corning makes?
that's what our specification calls for. Is what I think we have to. I mean, there's other manufacturers that make good fiber.
Right.
Corning's the standard, right?
New York business.
Yeah.
To the extent that we can help the New York business
Mhm.
appropriately.
Do we have a contact?
I don't know. You probably
We do. We work a lot with Corning products. So that's what I had for an update. Andy, I don't know if you have anything else to add, or if people here at the table want to ask any other questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it back to you, Tom.
All right. Thank you, Matt, for that very informative update. If you look in your package there, you do have a schedule for our meetings that are prescribed for the year. What we try to do is look on your calendars to see what was the best time. Certainly, if we need to adjust, we can. More often than not, the meetings will be held here at the ECIDA Vista Room Conference. If not, then, if there's a conflict, we'll certainly let you know. Find another location. But this is the schedule going forward. If you do see conflicts, be sure to let us know sooner rather than later. Right.
May 16th.
Oh,
Let you know.
okay, gotcha. Next, and the report of the chair here, just to give you an update as to the personnel committee. We've been going through some interviews relative to our search for an executive director. We had 2 interviews today. I would say it's going well, arguably. We have more that are scheduled for later in this week, and we'll keep the board apprised of where we land. If we do find a candidate, more often than not, we will have we'll probably go into executive session in our next meeting and have a conversation about it. Then we'll figure out next steps after that. But just to update, really just to land the plane, is that we are, we're going through the process and we're hoping to identify someone really, really good for ErieNet. All right. Outside of that, no committees met this month formally. There was no unfinished business. And in your package, moving on to number 6 on the agenda, you have resolution number 2206. And I have a motion to approve resolution.
Motion.
And Mr. Cornell, now the second?
Should we say what the motions are for people on the?
Yeah, we'll do it right after.
Okay.
Second? All right. Okay, so I'll read the motion, the resolution of the AreaNet Local Development Corporation authorizing the negotiation and execution of an agreement to engage Leidos Engineering of New York, PC, to provide engineering and design services for attachment of broadband assets upon and within National Grid infrastructure, and 2, negotiation and execution of an agreement to engage ECC Technologies to provide sales, marketing, and operations support services. So this resolution really tackles 2 different functions. One is to engage Leidos, we talked about just previously, to perform the make-ready services on behalf of National Grid. Do I have that right, Mike?
Yes.
Or Matt, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So just to go back, there is a memo in your packet, and what we did, or what ECCA did on behalf of AreaNet, is that National Grid has 5 make-ready engineering firms that they work with. So MAC, a part of the ECC team, engaged all 5 of them, sent them the RFP. 3 did not respond, and 2 responded, of which you'll see in the memo, and it breaks it down into a table. And really the differentiating factor is the cost, which was, I think, a difference of $204,000. So needless to say, we went with Leidos, and that is the first half of this resolution, which just gives the chair, myself, authorization to contract with Leidos to perform these make-ready duties. Any questions?
No.
All right, the second half of the resolution is for the sales, marketing, operating contract that we RFP'd for AreaNet, and to perform a certain scope of duties. And so we sent this RFP to about 7 firms, none of which responded except for ECC. We also publicized this RFP on the Erie County website. We got a few questions, but ECC was the only organization that responded with an actual response to the RFP with a proposal. So just briefly, just to summarize what this RFP required, we were looking for operations and management. So we were looking for, COO of sorts from the company to over pertaining to, budget development, reporting, any filings, regulatory compliance, and the like. So that was a part of it. This RFP and this contract will also cover sales and operations. So that's, negotiate agreements, to administer contracts, to customer contracts, to track our billing, to report on activity relative to sales, and to generally generate sales, which is super important. That needs to start ASAP. Also, this will cover marketing, so that includes, any branding, any advertising, PR, media, promotions, stuff like websites. This contract will cover that as well. And then finally, customer service and network operations. So, if there's any outages when we get further down the line, we need to respond to the issues that come up relative to the actual physical network and technical support. So that's just a summary of what this contract will include. Some high points about the contract: it is a 3-year contract. When we had conversations, we did discuss, whether or not we want to add it in an option, which I can discuss with the board. Typically, I know when we started AreaNet, we're really only interested in 3-year contracts just to give us more flexibility. If we want to build in, a year option or another year option, we could certainly have that conversation once we get beyond this stage now. And then finally, what was a critical point in the conversations relative to this RFP was making sure that where we can inject some MWBE presence, we would absolutely do so. So those were some of the high points of this resolution. Any questions?
It seems like it's pretty specialized work, right? I mean, from the work that we've done and looking at firms, this isn't just like a normal marketing and business development type of contract that firms. I mean, it's pretty unspecialized for operating broadband, middle mile broadband network. And there's really just a few firms that have done that. Most notably ECC. So, you know, I normally I'd want to send it to more than 7 firms, but I think we did enough research to know that there aren't that many firms that can do it, you know, located nearby, right? You kind of need some boots on the ground for this type of thing and some experience with middle mile broadband systems in New York State. So
The market.
yeah, the market, exactly. So I'm confident that's what we got.
Absolutely. I mean, just to echo that sentiment, you know, having, you know, familiarity with our, you know, our county is necessary just because it's such a unique area, with vast differences from the south to the north and so on. So we definitely wanted to have a firm that had some chops here in our area. In addition to, you know, just having the knowledge and the expertise, you know, about broadband. What we saw is that folks had experience in one area, but not so much in another area, but to bring it all together really helps. So, if no more questions, I can take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right. Carries unanimously. Sure.
And thank you for the vote of confidence in the business. But also, now that you've been your planning consultant, we're currently your design and construction management consultant, and now, you know, we're going to be responsible for sales and marketing. So we are 100% invested in the success project. If this project's not successful, then I'm not successful, my company's not successful, and certainly, you know, we want to protect our reputation, and we want this to be successful. Selfishly, we want it to be successful, but for our reputation and our involvement in the community, this will be a successful project. And thank you again for sticking with us.
Thanks for that. Congratulations again.
Well, it's been good work. I mean, you've been very responsive, and you know, you've done this elsewhere in the state. So,
All right. If nothing else, then I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. Thanks, Council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all.
okay, thank you.
Vote.
I like the second vote Wednesday.
Thank you, everyone.